You did a hit and run and that you hit somebody and then you rolled over and went back to sleep. So did you ever tell that person you hit someone?
No.
In 2024 CR 007421, State versus Johnny Ruiz Jr. Can I have parties announced for the record? State. Defense.
Ray Lopez for the defense.
And are you Mr. Ruiz?
Yes, sir.
All right, you entered a plea on January 28th of no contest to the offense of collision involving death. According to your plea bargain agreement, punishment is to be assessed at a cap of 10 years in the prison. There's a $2,000 fine. The state is opposed to your applications, and there's to be restitution to the next of kin of the deceased. Have both parties had a chance to review the PSI report, State?
Yes.
Defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any objections to the PSI report, State?
No.
Defense?
No, Your Honor.
Any witnesses, State?
No objections to the PSI report? That's rare. Usually someone's screaming about inaccuracies. But here's the kicker. The state is opposed to probation. Why? Because this isn't just a fender bender, it's collision involving death. 10 years max, a $2,000 fine, and restitution to the victim's family. The judge is about to weigh a life lost versus a life ruined. What would you do?
Defense, any witnesses?
To Your Honor, my client and his employer, who's going to be very brief.
Oh, well, it can take as long as it takes, but
Two witnesses. Your
all
Honor.
right, who would you like to call, counsel?
I'll call Mr. Reese.
All right, Mr. Ruiz, can you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
It's Johnny Reese, Jr.
All right, defense, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. So you're here today asking the court for probation. Is that correct? Yes. Can you tell the court in your own words kind of what happened that day of the incident?
I just gotten off of work that day. I to a friend of mine's. We were supposed to catch up on a video game. That's what we did most of the night. From there, we got something to eat before we got any later. Anything closed down. We ended up getting some French fish that day. No, I believe they took a little bit longer. I fell asleep on a nap waiting for them. From by the time they got back, I noticed it was already late. That's the ice, you know, what they brought. From there, I took off home for where we were staying at, where I was staying at. And during that moment, something happened and ended up. Sorry. Noticed I had hit something. Wasn't too sure what it was. The fact that it was dark in that area. Drove a little bit further down, stopped. Before I saw the light, I believe there was a hotel there. Figured maybe I'd stop there just in case he did see anything or anything happened. I was able to offer help, honk the horn, something. Rolled my window down, I didn't see anything. Didn't see nothing.
I didn't see nothing. I didn't hear nobody. Okay, but your windshield saw something. It shattered. And let's talk about that maybe I hit an animal theory. A dog in the middle of the night? That's a big dog if it cracked your windshield like that. Forensic evidence doesn't lie, folks. This is where the defense starts sweating.
I didn't hear nobody. Assuming that, you know, may have struck an animal or something. So I left. Got to where I was staying at, and you know, I saw there was damage on the windshield, of course. I didn't see anything, you know, that indicated that there's a person, a dog, an animal. I'm pretty sure if I would have hit an animal or something, I would have saw blood or whatever the case is. But didn't see anything. I figured I was like, maybe somebody threw something in my car or something. I mean, if there was nothing wrong, you know. That's when I started thinking negative, but yeah. And I would have stopped there, something would happen to me. Somebody did throw something in my car. At that point, I figured this, you know, figured that I would have been okay. I mean, I didn't see nobody. Next morning, I knocked on the door. It was a detective and told me that there had been an accident. And I might have been involved in something, you know, an accident that happened down the street. You know, I just couldn't believe it. It just said it was an accident under a person. I asked, was everything okay? Were they okay? The detective assured me that the person was fine. I picked him up. He was in the hospital. That he was going to be fine. Except they took me in that day as well. So just, I guess, to the interrogation room or wherever they take me. They just asked me what happened that night. Same thing that I'm saying now. From that point, I mean, like I said, the detective assured me that he was going to be fine. He was okay. They just needed to find out what happened. Also told me that, you know, he was in the wrong because he was in the street. You know, as far as what he told me, well, I didn't see who it was or what it was. He told me that, you know, it was a person. It was, it just upset me. It was, I wouldn't think in my right mind it would have been somebody there walking in the middle, you know, in the dark alley.
So when did you come to learn that the person that you hit in the collision ultimately passed away?
It wasn't until a few months later.
Wasn't until a few months later I learned the victim passed away. Imagine carrying that guilt. But here's the twist. He knew he hit something, yet he drove off. Now he's saying he thinks about it every day. Is that remorse? Or is it damage control? And let's not forget, the victim's family is in this courtroom. How do you think they're feeling right now?
I had learned that he passed away 2 weeks after it had been struck.
And how do you feel about it? I mean, can you tell us what your mind was going through when you learned that information?
Horrible. I gotta live with
I'm sorry, what?
something that I have to live with. It's a terrible feeling.
Do you still think about it to this day?
Think about it every day. Every day. Can't go to sleep. There's times when I stay up till 4, 5 in the morning. I gotta go to work the next day. I gotta work through it. It bothers me every day.
Why do you feel that you're a good candidate for probation?
I have a family. I mean, I have my kids. I have an obligation to support my kids. I love them a lot. Back to being away from them, not being able to help them provide food. You know, I've tried to, but the state as well asked them, is there any way to pay any type of restitution? You know, as well, you know, kind of take responsibility for what's going on. And for the court to grant me probation, I can continue to do my best to, you know, to work.
Now, have you been employed? How long have you been employed for?
For the past year, I think we started in February. So it's a little over a year already.
And where are you employed at?
It's a company, it's a landscaping company.
Okay. And do you know if you'll be able to continue your employment after, if you get put on probation?
Yes. Sure, I will.
And aside from your children, do you have any other family members that you're helping to they rely on you?
Well, I mean, at the time, right now, it's, my kids, my mother's sick, other than that, she's disabled, so. I mean, I'd really like to get to be more involved with her as well.
And have you had any have you ever been arrested in the past 20 years?
No.
And you
I've
haven't,
never been arrested.
and how old are you?
38 years old.
Okay, so do you have a few incidences when you were a minor?
Well, I believe so. I think it was, I think in middle school. No, there was one incident that I went to juvie, for a day or so. I can't remember how long it was.
But since you've been an adult, you have not had any issues with the law until
No.
this incident. Past witness.
Any questions?
Yes, Judge. So Mr. Ruiz, at the time of the offense, you were staying at a roadway inn that was located on Enrique Barrera Parkway, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and so the accident happened somewhere on Old Highway 90, is that correct?
Yes.
And so those locations are kind of close to each other, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you kind of give me an idea? You said that you stopped at a hotel. Did you stop at the roadway inn or a different hotel?
Well, I mean, where I was staying, I can't remember what it was called. I think there's several hotels that were there. I stopped at the very first one. Like I said, where I saw that there was some kind of light. Because it was dark in that area.
Okay, so you stopped at a different hotel, not the hotel that you were staying at.
No. Stopped at a different hotel. Yes.
Okay, thank you. And so regarding your vehicle is a relatively small vehicle, correct?
Yes.
It was a smart passion, like a smart car, is that correct? Okay, and so it had a good amount of damage to it, wouldn't you agree with me? So it had the broken windshield concentrated on the passenger side, right?
Yeah.
And then it also had passenger side body damage, correct? And then the broken or the headlight on the passenger side was also broken. And then the passenger side mirror was also missing. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. And so in the PSI and in your testimony today, you said that there's a lot of dogs in the area. Is that correct? Okay. And so you said possibly you thought that you hit a dog.
Yes.
The evidence that I've seen in the case suggests to me that when the complainant was hit, the body flew up onto the windshield, causing that impact. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. And so if you were to hit a dog, obviously a dog is not as tall as a human, right?
Yes.
And so if you were to hit a dog, you would have felt the impact of rolling over the dog, right?
Possible, but for that type of vehicle, it's so low to the ground and tiny, anything hits that windshield goes up.
Okay.
Because it's such an incline, that smart car.
So you think it's possible if you would have hit a dog that the dog also would have flew up onto the,
As well.
okay. And so then I have some other questions. So you said the first time that you learned that you were involved in a collision involving a person was when the detective came to the hotel. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And before the detective took you downtown to take a statement from you, he kind of spoke to you at your hotel room, right?
Yeah.
And so when he was speaking to you at that point, you told him that you believe that the damage to your vehicle was caused by a tree that had fell on the vehicle, right? Okay. And so you weren't forthcoming with him at that time, right? Okay. And regarding who is Cecilia Rodriguez?
That was supposed to be my wife or my ex-girlfriend.
Okay.
At this time.
And is she the mother of one of your children?
Yes.
Okay. And so she has no reason to to say anything false against you, right?
She should have.
Okay, and she was staying with you at the roadway and at that time, right? All right, and so Cecilia stated that she confronted you. So Cecilia noticed the damage, right, that night?
No, she didn't go out that night. She didn't see nothing that night.
Was it in the morning that
It
she
was in
saw
the
it?
morning.
Okay, and so when she sees the damage to the vehicle, she confronts you about it and you tell her you don't know what happened, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then she stated that based on what she saw, she believed that you hit something, right?
I don't know exactly what she said. No.
Okay, so if that evidence is stipulated too, so I'll just move on. But Cecilia also stated that she believed that you looked inebriated on that day when you returned to the hotel room that night. Were you under the influence of alcohol or drugs?
No.
Why would Cecilia say that?
I'm not too sure, to be honest with you, because she wasn't even present of anything. You know, when I walked in, trying to figure out what was going on. I undressed myself and got into, you know, my sleep clothes.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really even talk to her that much. I mean, when I got there, she was already asleep. When I told, you know, you got a key card to walk in.
Mm-hmm.
So she was asleep. Like I don't see why she would say. Why she would say.
Okay, and then who's Edward Vargas?
That's a friend of mine that was, well, at the time was a friend. He was in the vehicle as well.
Okay, and so does he have any reason to say anything false against you? Okay, so my question is, why would Edward Vargas and Cecilia Rodriguez say that you told both of them that you saw something on the news regarding a hit and run?
That was afterwards.
That was in the morning, right?
Yeah, that was in the morning.
Before the police showed up at your hotel?
Like,
Okay, so you had some knowledge of what was going on.
I have kids. I need to provide for them. Cue the violins, except the victim also had kids. And the prosecutor just dropped the mic. Do you think that's fair? Ouch. This is where the moral scales tip. Is probation justice? Or is 10 years the only way to balance the scales? Drop your thoughts in the comments. This is the debate we need to have.
Correct?
yes.
All right, and just going back to Cecilia, she stated that you stated to her that you hit someone. And when you told her that, she rolled back over and went into bed.
I didn't talk to her as much as, you know, she was already in bed when I got there.
Okay, so all those other facts are correct. She was at the hotel room, she was in bed, she was asleep, she woke up briefly, but just not what you said it was not.
Understand why, how something like that would come about.
Okay,
I mean, when I got to the hotel, they were asleep. She was asleep. Kid, my son was asleep.
mm-hmm. Then later on, when you are talking with the detective, you state that you were driving the vehicle on the night of the offense and that you swerved to avoid hitting something on the side of the road and didn't stop, correct?
Yes.
But you were driving that vehicle that night, correct? You were the one that was involved in the collision that caused the death, correct?
Yes.
And you weren't exactly forthcoming in the investigation, right?
And at the time when he asked me these questions, I didn't know where he was going with it. So there might have been a little defense on my end, yes.
Okay. And then I know you said to this court that the court should grant you probation because you have family and kids that you have to provide for. I mean, do you think that's fair? The victim has kids that he can't provide for or be there for. Do you think that is fair?
I was of the understanding that he didn't have any kids.
Well, he does, and they're here today. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Any further questions?
None of this witness, Your Honor.
All right, you may call your next witness.
Deal.
I call Mr. Pahalto.
Oh, hello. Could you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
You know, so how-
All right, defense, you may proceed.
Sir, how do you know Mr. Reese?
He's been working for me for a little bit over a year.
And how is he employed? In what manner of work?
He's it's a landscape company, landscape and irrigation company. He works with one of the crews.
Okay, and how have you known him to be as a person while he's been under your employment for the past year? And
It's been 13 months, so since he's been honest, reliable, he goes to probation and he comes back to work the same day, 9:30, the latest, still time.
will he continue, if he is granted probation, will he continue to be employed through your company?
Yes, sir.
And if he is granted probation, are you willing to work with him to have him do whatever classes, community service hours, whatever conditions the court imposes? Are you willing to work with the schedule so that those can be, he can complete those?
Yes, sir.
Pass the witness, Your Honor.
Any questions?
No, Judge.
All right, thank you so much for coming down. All right, Mr. Ruiz. I just have a few questions if there are no
Yes, ma'am.
objections. All right, so in the stipulations, when the officer comes to the hotel, you say that you said that a tree caused the damage to your vehicle?
Yes.
All right, so you're saying you thought that or what?
Well,
Did a tree fall on your vehicle?
No.
So why did you think a tree caused damage to your vehicle?
At that time that night, I felt like when I didn't see anything that the next morning. It was
No,
just-
I'm just wondering, did,
I didn't know what he was going with it, Your Honor. I thought maybe I was, at that point getting blamed for something else that I.
so
might
did you know a tree had not fallen on your vehicle or caused damage to your vehicle?
Yes, I did. It didn't.
So you knew that it wasn't a tree? I need yes or no.
Yes.
All right, and then according to the stipulations, there were 2 pedestrians in the roadway. So did you see any of those pedestrians? And then it states that this Rodriguez person, they're stating in the stipulations that you stated you did a hit and run and that you hit somebody and then you rolled over and went back to sleep. So did you ever tell that person you hit someone?
No.
So why would they say that?
No,
Okay.
I mean, I didn't speak to her that night. When I got there, she was angry because I got.
10 years, no appeal. And that final line from the judge, you still have more of your life in front of you. Damn. But here's the reality. A man is dead, a family is shattered, and Johnny Ruiz Jr., he's got a decade to ask himself, was it worth it? What do you think justice served, or a system that failed everyone?
Got there late.
Mhm.
But as far as physically talking to her, like I said, she was already in bed. My son was already asleep.
All right, thank you. All right, any further questions?
No question, Your Honor.
No, Judge.
All right, this is what the court is going to do. The court is going to find you guilty. The court is going to sentence you to 10 years in the prison, give you credit for any time served. There's a $2,000 fine. Time and money will run concurrent. There's to be restitution to Francisco Aldaco, and that is to be payable to his next of kin, which is Juanita Aldaco. Did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it? Because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand? All right, we can go off the record. Here's the thing. Anytime that somebody does time in prison or Bexar County Jail or in custody is a lot of time. But you still have more of your life in front of you to be a better person. You understand? All right.
Judge, we have victim impact.
All right, so what's going to end up happening is someone's going to speak to you. Just internalize what's being said, okay?
Judge, we would ask the court to maintain jurisdiction over this, see if we come back in 6 months.
No. All right, thank you.